Yo, what's up? This is your boy Derek Branch here at Strike7Sports.com. This is another episode of Strike 7 Sports Podcast. I'm joined by my co-host Brian Botter. This is another episode of Strike 7 Sports Podcast. So we're gonna go right into it. And the first topic of the night is the Los Angeles Lakers as they've finally found a new head coach. I got a lot of mixed opinions on the idea of the Lakers hiring Darvin Ham as the new head coach. It's Ham's first job as a head coach of an NBA franchise. He has a detailed background with the NBA, former player, played in the league for a minute. I think close to 12 or 17 years, if I'm not mistaken. Was around when LeBron first came in the league. Had a good college career. Played with the Pistons. I believe he won a championship as well. Guarded LeBron before. I think he has some experience working with Popovich. Worked with Coach Budenholzer. Been at I think it was with Budenholzer in Atlanta and with the Milwaukee Bucks. So I just want to ask you real quick, just your overall thoughts on the situation and your projected outcome for Darvin Ham as the Lakers head coach, given that
I,
it's his first job.
I think it's a solid hire. Everyone's raving about him, so I think that's a good sign. Although the situation's coming into isn't maybe an ideal situation for a first-time head coach. I don't think he'll have time to build things. Depend on the roster, because they have some moves they're gonna have to make to get for him to have a chance to build this team into a contender again. Uh, But like I said, they gave him a 4-year deal. To me, a success will be him seeing all 4 of those years. So if he's at least sees makes it through the first contract, or really, actually, success will probably be getting an extension and seeing that through. But if he's able, but for the time being, if he's able to see the first 4 years through, then that'll be a success in my opinion. Because you just don't know how much change this organization is going to go through his time being there. So right now it's a solid hire, but we just don't know if this team's going to be contended in a year or two, or will they be retooling, rebuilding? We just don't know. But I think he has a chance to be a really good coach. Uh, he's been a head coach uh, for a long time. He needed to get his opportunity, so I'm glad he got it. A top opportunity, but he got it. So now let's see what he does with it.
So you think playoffs are in the cards in 2022, 2023 with
Yeah,
him?
I think this is a playoff team. If you look at the Doug Gottlieb, he made some good points about this team. They kind of quit the second half of the season, and it kind of disturbs me as a Lakers fan, but that's the reality. But also I'm a realist too, and I knew they weren't going anywhere, so I'd rather miss the playoffs, save those legs, especially for a guy like LeBron, than try to make a push and then get swept in the first round or not even make the playoffs. So I'm fine with the outcome. I just didn't like how we got the outcome. I guess that's fair to say. But yeah, this year coming up, they should make the playoffs, bare minimum.
So you think with LeBron getting a little older, how long will it be till it's hey, we need to win a championship?
I think this year, your
He's
window,
37.
yeah, I think you gotta. Luckily, they've already won one, so that's good. Me personally, I don't think they win another title because the West is just loaded, and I just don't think they have enough. But you never know. That's why this offseason, the moves they make will be very, very critical. But if you're gonna win another title, it has to be this year, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's this year, man. It's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
But there were people that thought that felt like Doc Rivers should have gotten the job, and because Rivers had the experience, won a championship before, been in the LA market, worked with a lot of alpha males in the past, egos, and it felt like he was but well more suited for the job compared to somebody that's never had a coaching opportunity to be a head coach, and the Lakers are gonna go with their guy here. I mean, and this might be a move, for the future. They give him 4-year deal. Hopefully, he get things turned around next year. I don't know if next year is a championship team, but if you can, you know, get with Russell Westbrook, talk to him, you know, see eye to eye with. Well, I won't say see eye to eye, but you know, talk to him. See if you can like reel him in as far as get him to work on those bad habits and get him to adjust his game, tailor his game. I know he's late in his career, but there's a chance that they can do that. But next year, I think this is a playoff team for the most part. I think it's a playoff team. It's too talented not to be a playoff team. With you got top 10 players on your team on your roster, more like top 8 players on your roster, and AD and LeBron. Russell Westbrook. He probably are now a top 20 player now, but he's still a great player. And it should there should be no excuse why that team should not be contending for a champ. Not well, I won't say championship now, but contending for a playoff spot, not a playing opportunity. They're too good. But that's the second year in a row that the Lakers have been in that playing category when they shouldn't have been. But injuries and guys not being on the court long enough to actually get a feel of how each other's game is gonna benefit, the team that really played a part in that season and pretty much sealed their fate for playoffs. But hopefully, the next year, Ham will get everything turned around. I would say a NBA Finals run will be overachievement. I think if he gets that far in his first year, I think there will be overachievement in his first year, given how deep the West is. Thoughts, please.
Look, depending on the roster, getting out of the first round would be overachieving, in my opinion. The West is loaded, man. The West is loaded.
Yeah,
It's I mean, depending and also and even depending on how they get in the first round of playoffs, pushing a series farther than maybe it should go would be overachieving. Really, because look, when you miss the playoffs and have the current structure of the Lakers, it's just really, my opinion, a toxic situation, and I don't wish that on anybody, but that's just the way it looks like from the outside. But if depending on what moves they make, because now you got the coach, you got to get the right staff, and you got to get the right role players around LeBron and AD, and if they keep Westbrook, that's going to be important too. But yeah, I don't think there won't be, to me, high expectations, and anything past the first round is overachieving, in my opinion. I really really believe that.
there's be high expectations in LA.
No, when yeah, look, when I say look, because you have LeBron and you're the Lakers, of course there will be high expectation. I'm talking about my personal opinion. There shouldn't
Yeah,
be, because I just don't see this team competing for a national for a championship, NBA championship. I just don't see it happening. But I hope I'm wrong as a Lakers fan. But we'll see.
we'll see. Okay, all right. I don't know. I think if you could get past, they just gotta get out of that playing category, man. You can avoid teams like the Warriors, uh, Denver. Man, I forgot a lot of people forgetting about Denver, man.
Yep.
Denver, Golden State. I'd say Golden State, Dallas, Memphis. You avoid those teams, you might have a shot in that first round. That's all I'm saying. But we'll see. All right, man. We'll segue on to another topic, NBA related. And that's the New Orleans Pelicans with Zion Williamson. Recently, there's a contract situation that's came up once again. And for those that may not know, Williamson is eligible for a rookie scale max contract extension for this upcoming season. I got a report from Fadeaway World, from the quote from Brian Windhorst, ESPN NBA insider. Quote: From what I've been told, the Pelicans at this point are not willing to offer a full 5-year guaranteed deal, and a lot of it is flowing down from ownership. Gail Benson, the owner, is also the owner of the New Orleans Saints, and I have been told they're going to take a football style, Saints style mentality with this contract negotiation. They'll offer him a huge contract, but will not guarantee all of it. So Barkley chimed in on this and he said if he was offered the type of money Zion Williamson is expected to get, he would be the skinniest power forward in the history of civilization. So I want to ask you, um, should the Pelicans give Zion Williamson a new contract without the certain stipulations, or
I'm sorry, my bad. Yeah, I'm sorry.
should the Pelicans give Zion Williamson a new contract without certain stipulations, or should they just give it to him fully guaranteed?
I've got to touch on this in the past when we talked about this subject. I personally wouldn't give him a contract. I would let him
You would
play
give
this
nothing?
year out now and then take it to restricted free agency. That's what I personally would do. But if you were gonna give him a contract, I agree with that mentality. I'll give him like the NBA comparisons. The contract Philadelphia gave Joel Embiid is kind of like they gave him a decent contract, but they gave him a lot of incentives because of his injury history. So if they did something like that, I'd be fine with that. But I just don't think giving Zion the max. I don't think it's a priority this offseason, in my opinion.
You don't think it's a priority?
No, not this
Oh,
offseason.
that's right,
Next
man.
offseason. Because he hasn't. He's barely played. He's barely played. Now you can say when he's played, he's been pretty good, but I need more. And I think it's one thing if you had like if it was where you had to pay him this, that's different. But you don't have to pay him. You can push that to next offseason. So that's why it's not a priority.
Yeah, maybe, but I just I just don't want this to be a issue to where it could force a trade. Because team has gotten a lot better since he was out. They made the playoffs without him. I just don't want a conflict, man. This that stuff. I don't want that stuff to rise up again within the organization between him and his family members and all the other reports that were coming out. If his agent can agree, if his agent and his family, the people in his camp can agree to that type of contract where it's not fully guaranteed, I'm all for it. I wouldn't mind. I mean, it'd be cool with me, but I mean, you have to you have to protect yourself if you're the Pelicans, because of his injury history, you know. And for what I've heard is that he's eligible to get back on the court and conduct live basketball activities, practicing and things like that with the team and all that stuff. But if they give him this contract, man, I just hope this don't cause a conflict again, you know. But I'm more in the mindset of him and the mindset of him getting that contract with some stipulations in it, man. That's
Yeah.
just me. I mean, I know he's a generational talent and all that, man, but we can't. I mean, going forward, this Pelicans could be a really good team with him in the lineup. He could possibly have beaten Phoenix if he was there, with his size. Because Chris Paul, as we've seen, was slowing down, and it started in that series with the Pelicans. So, um, I think it's better if they give him that type of contract with stipulations in it. Any final thoughts on that?
Well, I have a few questions. Why why are you worried? Like, let's say they decide to trade him. Do you think that'd be a bad decision? I'm not so sure it will be because
Uh,
we don't know how we still have to see it, but we don't know how he and Brandon Ingram are gonna fit together. That's not a like that's what some people are failing to understand. Like Zion isn't a player you can just plug in. And I'm not saying he needs the ball all the time, but I think he and Brandon Ingram could have difficulty playing together. That's
you
just
think
my
so?
yeah. Not I hope I'm wrong, but that's just my opinion. So it's and Brandon Ingram is the most important player. Zion may end up being the best, but I think the Pelicans will go as far as Brandon Ingram takes him. That's just what I really believe.
So
So
you think he's the one?
yeah, I did. I did. Some people debated me about that, but I did. I do think he's the one, and I really don't even think it's close, in my opinion. But so that's why I think, and we have to see what they do with this pick they have in the lottery, too. If that person ends up shining, who knows what they can bring. For either you could keep that piece or trade it for even another guy like maybe a CJ McCollum. Not exactly like him, but you know what I mean, a good veteran that can help this young nucleus. But if they end up moving on from Zion, I don't think it's the end of the world. I really don't. So we'll see how this thing plays out. But I think that if they end up trading Zion, it's not the end of the world like some people think. Because I
I
just
just
don't
don't.
think. Go
I
ahead.
just don't want this. I just don't want to. I just don't want this to just move to set the franchise back because we came a long way. We finally got a nucleus of players that's buying in, that's buying now, and a head coach that understands them. That's I just don't want a setback. You know,
I
that's
don't
what
think he'll set the. I don't think he'll set the bat. The only setback, like I wouldn't be surprised if they don't make the playoffs next year, because one, chemistry issues could be, or actually two, the West. The number one thing is the West is going to be better. Like the Clippers aren't going to miss the playoffs again, and there could be another team like the Lakers. I forgot we didn't make the playoffs, so those are two teams right there that could make the playoffs next year. So uh, they could end up theoretically be better than they were last year and miss the playoffs. So I think that that's something that people need to understand. But I think if they can figure out the Zon situation and figure out how both of them can play together, then I think long term they'll be all right. But sometimes you have to take a minor setback for a major comeback.
yeah, it's true. All right, moving right along, man. Other latest news we got is Donovan Mitchell of the Utah Jazz. There's been some rumors circulating. There was rumors, circulating before this stuff came out. But the latest is that uh, Donovan Mitchell. There's a rumor that Donovan Mitchell could be traded to the Miami Heat if the Heat offers a trade, a reasonable trade package. And then the one I got from there's a piece pulled up in front of me from on my screen that he could trade Donovan Mitchell by offering a package featuring Tyler Hero and multiple first round picks. Report came, the report originally came from Jake Fisher of the Bleacher Report, and I want to ask you, just based on these reports, do you think that Donovan Mitchell will be a Utah Jazz going into the next season?
Yeah, I would be stunned unless if Donovan Mitchell just says I'm not going to play for the Jazz anymore, or they get one hell of a package that they have no choice but to take. Donovan Mitchell is going to be a member of the Utah Jazz. There's a lot of interesting stuff coming out with the Jazz. You probably saw it. Quinn
Yeah,
Snyder. There's some talk that he may not be back there next year. Danny Ainge started with the Jazz, I think, a couple months ago. He's going to be making some moves. You can believe that. This roster isn't going to be the same next year. If anybody's going to leave, it's probably going to be Rudy Gobert and maybe some other pieces, but Donovan Mitchell is going to be there. He's basically your franchise player. Like people come to watch the Jazz because of Donovan Mitchell, definitely not because of Rudy Gobert, and not knocking Rudy Gobert. He's great at what he does, but Donovan Mitchell is your box office attraction. And so if you're trading him away, you better be getting one hell of a package, or he just doesn't want to be there anymore. That's or he's yeah, basically he doesn't want to be there anymore. That's the only reasons why you would trade him. But I believe he's gonna be there at least next year. Now, after next year, then it can get interesting, but I believe he's gonna be there at least one more year.
so you don't think Tyler Hero and multiple first round picks is reasonable compensation?
No,
No.
Now, maybe if they offered Jimmy Butler, maybe they
That
would
ain't
take
happening.
it.
They know they gotta.
Yeah,
That
that's
ain't
what I'm
happening.
saying. So, like, that's probably what Danny Ainge would be like. If all right, y'all want Donovan Mitchell, give me Jimmy Butler then. And Miami isn't going to do that. So that's why
What about Bam
that
Adebayo? Bam
maybe
Adebayo and Tyler Hero.
that's something that, but I still don't think Miami would do that. Now, if
And
another
Duncan
team,
Robinson. Give me Duncan
maybe
Robinson out.
I don't know, but if there's another team or two teams that can get involved and add a lot other pieces that Utah may like, then maybe it could work that way. But I don't see that happening. I just don't see them getting rid of Donovan Mitchell.
So yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to see how they made those changes to that team. You know, they've kind of I would say met their ceiling as a contender in the West. You know, they had the number one seed a year ago. Fell short to the Clippers this year. They couldn't beat a Dallas team that didn't have Luke at the time. They fell short again. They lost the series with 4-1, I think 4-1 or 4-2 to Dallas.
Yeah.
So they're deciding to blow it up. I don't know, man. I just that's a situation you gotta watch, man. Because I think if the right offer comes the right offer comes to across day and age's desk, I won't be surprised if he pulls the trigger. And you know he's a guy that likes to have picks, collect picks, and build through the draft, similar to what he did in Boston. So I won't be surprised though. But if anything, if the plan is to maintain their status in the West, they need to, I would move Rudy Gobert, keep Donovan Mitchell, and continue to, you know, use the resources you have to build a team around Donovan Mitchell. Because in the West, if you don't have that star player, be a long year. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Anything else in my head? Any final thoughts?
Not really thoughts. Well, I guess thoughts. I was gonna just make a comment. It's gonna be interesting to see with this Quinn Snyder situation what happens. I want to see if he what happens if he's gonna be back there next year and what other moves to Jazz make. But other than that, that's all I have to say.
So you think if he's not back this year, will he coach somewhere else, or will he sit out the year and go to wait for Pop to retire or some other opportunity?
And if he gets offered one, I could see him being assistant coach. Like see him come back to the Lakers. But yeah, I could also see if the Spurs want him to replace Pop, I could see that happening too. I could just see him just joining the bench there, be the coach in waiting, and take over like that. But it'll be interesting to see. Quinn Snyder's a very interesting guy, but he's a very good coach, underrated coach, and wherever he goes, I think he'll have success.
What if he goes back to college?
I don't think he's going back to college,
What if
especially
he
now.
went
Like
with the
the
NIL?
days we see a college NBA coach jump into college, the only way you do that is if you know you're almost not going to get a job in the NBA, or if it's like your alma mater. If it's your alma mater at a big time school like Juwan Howard, if no offense, but Juwan Howard's alma mater was, for example, Memphis. I don't think he takes that job. That's just me, and I'm not knocking Memphis, but that's just my opinion. But because it's Michigan, one of the bigger brands in college basketball, it made a lot of sense for him to take it. So I think that's very, very important to point those things out. Like Darvin Ham, for example, he went to Texas Tech. They were really interested in hiring him, but he turned it down because he saw this. Eventually, he was trying to get an NBA head coaching opportunity. But I feel like if he felt like he couldn't get one, and he was a younger guy, so he still had time, then maybe he would have taken it. But nowadays, you NBA coaches want to stay in the NBA, and Jay Wright, for example, there's a reason why he retired. The NLI and all this other stuff you have to deal with in college, it just wears coaches out. NBA, it's harder to win in the NBA, but easier to coach in terms of all you have to focus on is basketball. You don't have to focus on all that other stuff. So, yeah, that's all I have to say.
So you don't think that Damn, forgot my chain. Lost my train of thought. Oh, free agency period, man. You don't think no bombshells are gonna happen this year? You think Bradley Bill's gonna sign that? Bradley Bill's gonna sign that supermax with the Wizards?
Mm. I believe he will, but I'm not. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets signed and traded somewhere else, or signs like a mini deal where he can get paid after that mini deal. So I expect him to sign with the Wizards, but if he doesn't, that won't be surprising.
Where do you think he will go? Dallas.
Dallas, Miami,
Yeah,
Philly. Uh, I could see those are the top three that come to mind.
yeah. If he goes to Dallas, man, that changes things in the West, man. That's a whole different ball game. If you get Bradley Bill, you know, because Luca needs help, big time. But we'll see. All right, that's all we have for y'all for right now, man. Give us a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Let us know how you feel. Listen to this through iHeart, Apple, iTunes, yeah, Apple, Spotify. Give us 5-star rating. Leave your comments, leave your reviews. Let us know how you feel about the content. Also in the description box below on YouTube. Check out strike7sports.com for latest content on NFL, the NBA, and much more. Have a blessed night. Peace. We out.